Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Let's run the board in the early look ahead lines for this Sunday as we kick off week 3 in the National Football League. Okay, so I will give you guys my kind of early leans and my indications as we move throughout the week, where obviously closing line value within sports betting is a key aspect of if you want to be a successful sports gambler. Okay, but let's get into that first game that we have going on. And this is going to be an AFC East matchup between the New England Patriots and the New York Jets. We are going to talk about this one first. But guys, if you have not done so, a couple things of business. Make sure you subscribe right down below. Smash that like button. Also, if you can follow me on X, the handle is in the bottom left, as well as on all of our platforms here on Discord. It's totally free. It's just a way to communicate with you guys in real time. As well as if you do want to give back to the channel and you want to become a channel member, links down below. Become a TBM channel member today, okay? That's where we're going to have a lot of things going on too. I am going to kind of open that up to be more exclusive to the channel members, all right? And that will be coming about in very soon, because right now with the Discord growing, there's going to be some exclusive perks to that down the road, okay? New England and the Jets, all right? So this is going to be a very interesting matchup. New England coming off of a kind of a tester, if you will. Seattle winning in overtime. We saw 23-20 on that score after beating Cincinnati. So that was a play that we were on the under for that one, I believe. And it was one where there was a lot of sharp action on New England. Not really to give them too much credit right now through 2 games. They are kind of playing really good defense. But we are going to get into the odds board, and this is going to be courtesy of OddsJam. So if you guys don't use OddsJam, you should check out my link down below in the description. Sign up today with my promo code TBM to get 35% off your monthly and or annual subscription. Don't miss out on this, because I use it on every one of my bets, and there's just simply too many good features to miss out on. It's putting you at a disadvantage if you don't use it, just to be blunt. Okay, but the Patriots and Jets, this is where we look into this game. And there is a lot of indication where I have a very strong play on the under. Also, let's see how much more they actually kind of carry over the Bill Belichick way of playing defense, right? Garrett Wilson, will he be keyed in on? Will he be taken out of the game? Kind of tough to do so when you have Breece Hall playing with an offensive output as such he's been doing through 2 weeks. Very, very good games. And Gerard Mayo, say what you want. Great start to the season. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I thought there was better candidates out there. I thought they could have went in better directions. And I thought they should have just started fresh there in New England. But carrying over the Bill Belichick kind of style of football, I do suspect they're going to take Garrett Wilson out of the game, or at least try their damnedest. But at 61.5 yards for Garrett Wilson, that's a prop that I look into to the over. He's been kind of slow out the gate, but I do think within kind of the target share and where Aaron Rodgers is going to end up finding him, they're going to get comfortable. He's going to get peppered. So that's just something that I would attack. It's going to be a chalky way of betting props, but I do see that being a potential over candidate if they do not double him and take him out of the game. All right. And the other prop that kind of glaringly comes off the page at me is going to be Ramondre Stevenson. I think this is where he's going to get a ton of a workload. So look at his carries over. Also, Breece Hall taking his receptions. I think this is going to be a lower scoring game. My early indication, I do like the under 39.5. And if you look into OddsJam, you can see on the big board right here, this is where we're finding the best odds available at 38.5. Now that line has since moved down a full point from the early number. So opening at 42.5, and now we have settled at 38.5. That definitely is a strong move to the under. Still would be my play, but this number's kind of been bet out of control, so I'm going to kind of stay away from this one as we move forward into the week, okay? Let me pull this off, because I do want to share with you guys kind of a better view, okay? And this is going to be something where we could see the odds and the totals at the same time, okay? And there we go. So like I said, for me, it's too many points for the Jets, and this number has been bet out of control to the under, so I'm going to stay away from this one. All right. Next one is the Giants and the Brownies. Okay, so Cleveland, fresh off a win against Jacksonville. What do they look to do as they come home, bringing that stout defense going against the New York Jets? And one last thing I do want to mention with the Patriots-Jets game is C.J. Mosley banged up. The Jets defense is banged up, so that's another reason why I think Ramondre Stevenson's going to get a crazy workload in this game. Also something where I do look for the Patriots. They look to establish a run. Probably why we're seeing this under go way lower than what you would expect. I probably would have had this game just right where it's at. I don't think there's going to be 40 points. but there's no real true value. If you could have got the 42.5, great. If not, you're kind of stuck right now because that's a whole field goal, almost 4 points in value that we have given up with this closing number early in the week. Okay, and the Giants 0-2, but something worth noting is Malik Neighbors and his target share within this offense. So fantasy wise, outstanding. Daniel Jones definitely keying in on him. Rookie of the year potential for offensive numbers if we want to look at Malik Neighbors a little deeper. But for me, it's still the same story. Cleveland's banged up. You see Njoku's going to be questionable. Once again, Conklin and Wills not coming back into the fold. Once they get those guys back on the offensive line, look out for Cleveland. We also do get a questionable tag with Denzel Ward and Myles Garrett, as well as Pierre Strong, one of their backup running backs. So injury report for Giants, not so much, but Cleveland, that's definitely going to be a question mark. I don't know if I'm going to lay 6 points within the Cleveland Browns. I don't know if that's enough points, but the Browns within a teaser leg, that's going to be something worth noting. If Denzel Ward can suit up, obviously Malik Neighbors is going to be kind of manned up by him. I think that the Browns are physical enough, and Daniel Jones is going to be running for his life in this game with the attacking style defense Jim Schwartz is looking to deploy. This is another game that's going towards the under, 39 points. I think this one has a little bit more legs than the Jets-Patriots game, to be honest. So that would be my early indication is possibly a Browns same game teaser opportunity within taking them down to a pick'em, as well as getting 45 points on the under in the Giants Browns matchup. Okay. Then we'll go out to another intriguing matchup. Okay, we're going to go down to Lucas Oil, where the Colts are hosting the Chicago Bears, and Caleb Williams, short week, Sunday Night Football. Didn't really have that Sunday evening to prepare, so kind of early into Monday, got to get ready for the Indianapolis Colts. That's something where I do look for the Colts to struggle. Jonathan Taylor, you can see coming off of a game where a very strong outcome for the Packers. We were on the Packers with the points. A lot of people were kind of doubting that, and that's okay. Quite frankly, I would be too with Malik Willis playing, but sometimes you got to follow the money, and the money was all over the Packers in that game. And you don't necessarily need to bet on the quarterback, but just necessarily bet on kind of what's going to happen, and they definitely ran the football effectively. And now we get the same kind of matchup where the Bears are coming into Indianapolis, and the run defense for the Bears is quite an upgrade in comparison to the likes of Green Bay, and for that matter, I think Houston's run defense in that first game was a little bit lacking. Not necessarily a representation of where I'd have them power ranked in terms of running the run defense, because DeMeco Ryans and company definitely was able to slow that down against Chicago in that primetime Sunday Night Football game. But in this game, this is going to be one where I'm going to stay away from it because I don't trust Anthony Richardson, quite frankly, and I don't look at this game as being an opportunity where we can grab the Bears here, grab that 1.5. But there is something to be said where I do think we potentially could get some points. The over 42.5 definitely is appealing. They are in a dome, so that's going to add to that point total, taking the wind out of play as well as some of the elements. So that's something where I look for the over in this spot. Michael Pittman's had an outstanding target share. No real fall off within the likes of Gardner Minshew. He's up there in the top 10, I think, within target share for wide receivers in the in the NFL. So I look for his numbers to be good. Also, Jonathan Taylor, you could look at him possibly scoring a touchdown, as always. But for me, there is really no strong play. I probably would actually go Anthony Richardson rushing props in this one because I think he's going to be kind of, his back's going to be up against it, trying to throw the football against the Bears defense, okay? But we still get Keenan Allen questionable, so not the full arsenal for Caleb Williams and company. But in this game, I would probably lend towards the Bears and the over, okay? Houston in Minnesota, okay? Another interesting matchup. Sam Darnold hosting the likes of C.J. Stroud and company. Now, there's a lot of mouths to feed within Houston, and that's going to be something that if you guys bet props, touchdown scores, fantasy football, stay away from the Houston Texans. You just never know who's going to pop off that week. But 2-0 on the season. However, the Texans are 0-2 against the spread, and conversely, the Vikings are 2-0 in both categories. So them hosting the Texans, this is kind of a sharper game, if you will, right? The Vikings at home. Hosting the Texans, another story where they didn't really have as much time as other teams to prepare. But this game, I really look for the Vikings to continue their onslaught. They're running the football. I think that D'Amico Ryans is going to pressure Sam Darnold. But the 49ers, fresh off a win against the 49ers, that game was kind of interesting, the one to watch, where they really gave Brock Purdy fits at times. The interception was really huge down the stretch. And that's something where I think the Vikings defense is really going to give way to kind of how Kevin O'Connell looks to command his offense. And Justin Jefferson's going to be kind of questionable in this one. He's banged up. So definitely something where I would lean into taking the Texans. But the early money right here in this spot, guys, we're seeing an overwhelming amount of money on the Vikings. So definitely the sharper side will be on the Vikings. And I probably would lend towards taking the under 46.5. So there we go. That's kind of where I lean in this spot. It's a fishy game. I'd love to just bang the Texans right now, -1. Take them on the money line even, but just seeing the betting splits in the early money, I mean, it's almost 80% on the Vikings. Conversely, where we have 70% of the public money is on the Texans. So this is a stay away game for me unless you want to make a sharper play. Taking the Vikings, best number out there is +2.5 at home. So you could pay up, grab that hook, and get the Vikings +3 at home. That'll be a good spot. And probably where the sharper side will be. Just not a game that I'm looking into betting all too well. Okay. And then the next one is going to be the Saints and the likes of the New Orleans Saints and the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay. Now this is very interesting because I really don't know how Philadelphia is going to respond. Okay. They start their 2024 campaign 1-1 on the season. That debacle at the end of the game against the Atlanta Falcons, that's one for the ages. That's kind of where I don't trust Sirianni. I don't trust him as a head coach, and I think a lot of bettors are going to share that same sentiment. That's why we're seeing a lot of the money on the Saints, the betting splits. You're going to get that. I think this is where you could grab the points with New Orleans. You could take that -2.5. Some books actually have it juiced up where you could get a real better number on the New Orleans Saints, but I think that we have a strong argument to make Alvin Kamara offensive rookie of the year, maybe even MVP. I'm sorry, not offensive rookie of the year, but offensive MVP. I think that's going to be something where we're going to have to start having that conversation, all right? And it seems to be like Derek Carr is kind of throwing up one of those Pro Bowl seasons with the likes of Chris Olave and company. So it's going to be interesting. This will be a great game to see how they respond. Whether or not we get A.J. Brown, probably not. But this is something where it's going to be really hard not to take that +3 with the Philadelphia Eagles that's out there right now. But kind of the sharper side, New Orleans at home, I just definitely see some value taking the Saints in the spot -2.5 and a lean towards the over as well. Okay, Philadelphia is going to be playing with a purpose. They're going to try to move the football, and I just think that the Saints, this might be the year. They just won't be stopped. But 2 weeks into the season, I'm not going to overreact. So early lean towards the Saints and the over. Okay, that would be kind of where I'm at in that matchup. Next game is the Chargers and the Steelers. This is going to be one kind of for the ages where we kind of get a muck it up kind of football game. Mike Tomlin, both of these teams 2-0 against the spread and straight up. So when we talk about this game, Pittsburgh's going to play the same style defense by all accounts. Looks like Justin Fields will be at the helm again in Week 3. In the Chargers, this is where if you're a fantasy owner of Justin Herbert, I feel bad for you. But J.K. Dobbins definitely going to make that argument for comeback player of the year. And, if he's not getting the same carries he is with Gus Edwards, that's going to be very interesting to see how that carry load and that workload goes at the running back position. But by all accounts, Jim Harbaugh is going to run the football. And running the football against the Pittsburgh Steelers is kind of why we see a 36 on the board. So if you do want to take a number worth taking, grab it now because I think we do get movement towards the under. So 36 at Fanatics is the best number available. That's one that I'm probably going to have firmly be involved with too. Playing in Pittsburgh, I actually kind of like the Steelers straight up on the money line. I can't believe I'm saying this as a Browns fan, but the Steelers possibly could go over 3-0 to start off their 2024 campaign. So that's where I'd be. I'd be on the Steelers and the under 36 in this matchup. Excuse me, I'm getting over a little bit of bout of strep throat. The house is sick. I'm on cough medicine, but it just quite doesn't do it right now. So nonetheless, we're going to keep going. Denver and Tampa Bay, that'll be the next game going within the likes of Baker Mayfield. All right, what a season he's having, beating the Detroit Lions. And then we can even talk about the first game of the season, okay, where Tampa Bay went into Washington and really cleaned up shop 37-20 in that contest. So 3-0, the Buccaneers look to go, and I really like them in the spot against a rookie quarterback. I don't think Denver's going to be able to score with Tampa Bay. So if you can find a juiced up 6 out there, Tampa Bay taking them down in this game, taking them down to pick them. Mike Evans didn't score a touchdown last game, so I do like the likes of that in terms of a prop perspective. But the biggest thing going right now is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So look for them. It's a lower total, so they're not really banking on Denver to score too many points. If you're going to have this one come home and lay a touchdown or close to it, you'd expect a little bit of a higher total, but by all accounts, the bookmakers, they have this game going to be a lower scoring, kind of, I don't want to say blowout, but a two-score victory for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So this is one where we probably get, if I had to predict the score, something along the lines of like 27-13. I think it's going to be right around 40. That's kind of where the total. It's a sharper play towards the under. You could see the early money on the under, but on the over, but it's one that I don't really quite frankly agree with. So I probably would be on the other side of that. I would be on the under. And also there is a kind of a sharp movement towards the Broncos here early on, taking that 7 points, that full touchdown and a kick. But for me, I think it's 6.5. I think that's a good number for the Buccaneers. If you wait a little bit, you might be able to see a 6 out there. They get some respected money to come in on Denver. So for this game, I would lean towards taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We'll wait for that 6 and potentially play that under if we can creep up closer to 41, 42. Okay, Green Bay and Tennessee. This will be the next game to talk about. We do get the Jordan Loveless team that's going to be led, and the storylines continue to mount in the NFL. It's just crazy how this always works out. So Malik Willis goes back to his old ball club, and now the Titans look to host the Packers in this matchup. This will be a 1 o'clock kick. Tennessee minus 2.5. Crazy to think about that, okay? But that's kind of where I'm at. It's crazy to think that we could get the Packers with points playing the Tennessee Titans. Well, that's what happens when you lose Jordan Love. And this total is set low at 37. The Packers are going to run the football. I don't really want to get involved with that. And also, this is kind of a stay-away game for me because how much of Malik Will's luck. I was kind of with you guys, but I did take the 3.5 or 3 points with the Packers. I can't remember what I took, but that ended up cashing because they were winning outright from the get-go, so I didn't really care about the points within my ticket. But this is where we got to ask ourselves, can he do it twice? Okay, if you think he can do it twice, then obviously the Packers plus 3 is the move. If you think that's the kind of the wrong side of it, then yeah, Tennessee minus 2.5 is still out there, and that's kind of where I would look for an angle as Tennessee coming off of a 24-17 loss against the Jets. I think Tennessee's going to keep this one close. They played a lot better against the Jets than they did the Bears, to be honest, just not getting that victory. So going to stay away from the total, and I would actually kind of favor the Titans in the spot, but early on, sharp movement towards the Packers getting that field goal. All right, Panthers-Raiders. This is going to be kind of a crap-on-crap football game, and look for the likes of the Las Vegas Raiders, led by Antonio Pierce and that defensive-minded ball club, to come to light. We get to see Andy Dalton in the spot. Something worth noting from a prop perspective, Andy Dalton had a really great rapport with Adam Thielen. So if you look in the back or play a player in fantasy or pick up on the waivers, if Adam Thielen's available, this is a spot start for him in my lineups. Okay, especially because I had A.J. Brown that's going to be missing some time. So I am going to play Thielen in this, okay? And this is kind of a weird, kind of not trivia question, but weird little nugget for you guys. The only quarterback in the NFL through 2 weeks in the NFL season to have 250 passing yards through 2 weeks. Who is it? Well, it's Gardner Minshew. So that's what we get in this game. 4 o'clock. This will start off the 4 o'clock slates where we do get the Raiders laying 5 points at home against the Panthers. This is one where I'm going to tell you guys, I hate to do it, but I do think that we do get a little bit of a hiccup from the Raiders. They're here to play, but I do think that the sharper side is going to be the Carolina Panthers. If you can find that plus 6 out there, that's a great number to have. That's probably where I would lean towards. However, this is a game where I don't want anything to do with it, okay? I think that was a little fugazi with seeing the Raiders winning against Baltimore, quite frankly. I don't know how they won. And, them, the Eagles, and even the Lions for that matter, those are 3 of the games that really have to ask yourself, what the hell are those coaches doing? You could talk about it till you're blue in the face. The Lions, I think they had like 4 or 5 red zone attempts where they just failed to score points. The Raiders were down 10 points against the Ravens on the road. I mean, it's just the list goes on and on. Woulda, coulda, shouldas. The horrible play call, albeit I needed Saquon to catch that ball in the backfield. In hindsight's 2020, of course, you catch the ball, they get the first down, they might even broke a tackle, scored a touchdown, and the clock is dead. All right, but I digress. That's living in the past. We're going to move forward, and by all accounts, I do think that the Las Vegas Raiders play a good game. I just don't know what we're going to get out of Andy Dalton, and I'm not going to even take 6 points with him, but I definitely think that's the sharper side. And quite frankly, I think that 40.5, that's a little too low, okay? I think that the Raiders are going to be able to score some points. I would probably lend towards taking the over 40.5 versus the side in this spot, and that's kind of where I'm going to be at for the Panthers-Raiders clash we got coming to you guys late on Sunday afternoon, okay? Miami and Seattle, that's going to be the next one we're going to talk about. What's going to happen here, okay? All those Tua backers, there's a lot of action on Tua. That changes the whole game, right? The rumors of Tom Brady leaving the broadcast booth, leaving his kind of job and just going to his residence in South Beach and becoming the next quarterback of the Miami Dolphins. I could see it. It'd be a great fit. They have great slots. They have great running backs. They have, by all accounts, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. It's a really great group of skill players there for the Miami Dolphins. The only thing they're missing is at his age, just I don't know how that offensive line would keep him upright. So a lot of that comes down to Tua being mobile and sliding. Brady in his last year with the Buccaneers, he was really quick with that release. It was really sub 2.5 even. So that's just kind of where we're at within this. Seattle, we do not know if we're going to get Kenneth Walker back into the fold. This is something where if we talk about it a little bit even further, okay, you have to kind of ask yourself, what do you think is going to happen in this game within the point perspective, right? Do we get Skylar Thompson come in for the Dolphins? Do we get him slinging the rock? Do we get, by all accounts, the same kind of offensive numbers? Do we get Tyler Lockett? Do we get Njigba for Seattle? Do we get strong offensive output from them? Possibly. I just think it might be a little bit too much of an overreaction to Miami losing Tua. They're going on the road to Seattle, so that's a little different thing to talk about. How he's going to fare in that environment with the 12th man or 12th fan, whatever they call it. That's going to be the big question of the day, but I still think Miami still has the pieces in place. Whether or not we get HA and healthy for this game 100%, I don't think it quite frankly matters. I think a sharp play on them would be taking their team total over. I still think they have the weapons to get the job done, and at 40.5, you can get some good value on that, but that's how I would attack this game, is taking Miami team total over, okay? Next one will be the Lions and the Cardinals, okay? Now, this is interesting for a lot of reasons, okay? We talk about Arizona and Kyler Murray. Boy, does he look like a good candidate for comeback player of the year. And I don't know what he came back from, but because he could have came back last year, but he's back. And Marvin Harrison Jr. in the fold. This is a very, very high-powered offense, and quite frankly, they incorporate a lot more defensive philosophies than they did have under Cliff Kingsbury. And the Lions are kind of struggling. Okay, so I think that Murray stays mobile. They're playing in a dome. Detroit's used to that. I think Detroit's going to respond in a strong way. This is going to be, by all accounts, probably the highest scoring game of the day. I think we have the highest total at 52. Some places actually 52.5. And in this one, you could go right to it, right? We called out Amon-Ra St. Brown last week. We were all about that. He ended up with over 100 yards, I think, receiving. But that was something where, it was the start of a very big season for that really bright young player that we have in Detroit. I think that Arizona, James Conner's going to have a big game. I think that Marvin Harrison still has a big game. Offensive Rookie of the Year for Harrison, right now set at plus 250. If he continues that offensive output, I know that there was just 2 touchdown catches, and I think 2 out of 4 of his grabs were, big touchdown plays. But I still think that within the way Murray slings it in that offense, I think that he has a lot of potential. They're 2-0 against the spread. I think the Cardinals at home, that's just a really, really crazy start to the season to see them getting this much praise. And I think that the Cardinals plus 3 is going to be more of the public side, but it's a side that I don't necessarily disagree with. So getting a low price on Detroit. I think if the Cardinals were 1-1 or 0-2 and they were not showing face right now, this number would be close to 4.5, even 5.5. So I definitely like the Cardinals with some value. I'm sorry, the Lions with some value. But if I had to bet this one, right now with the way I've been watching the Arizona Cardinals play offensively, it'd be very hard to bet against them getting 3 points at home. So a little fishy spot, but early lean towards the Cardinals +3. And I do think we get fireworks. So taking that over 52 as my best bet. Okay. Baltimore and Dallas. This will be a great matchup. Baltimore off a loss. You can't not love that, but Baltimore 0-2 now to start the season. Crazy to think about. The Pittsburgh Steelers have a overwhelming lead in the AFC North, one of the divisional battles that we thought and expected we would have. And once again, the common denominator, the Steelers are always going to be around there towards the end of the season. We'll see how long that lasts. It's early, but I still think that the Ravens have some value here, especially because now we get them basically in a pick 'em. I think Dallas might be a little bit of an overreaction. Cleveland was a little shell-shocked, I think, with the lacking of their regular guys offensively. Going against Micah Parsons and a lot of those guys for Dallas. And Deshaun, say what you want, but I still think he can play football. He's just not necessarily the best fit for Stefanski's scheme. So in this spot, I do think the Cowboys are a little bit overrated. I think we get the Ravens all the same, and I do think that Dak Prescott's going to have fits under him. I do think we get a lot of points, but I do lend towards taking the Ravens here and a pick 'em. I just really don't see a way that the Ravens start 0-3. So give me Baltimore -1 on the road here. This will be kind of the game of the week, I think, on Fox. Regardless of where you guys are located, I think this one will be the one that's aired. Okay, so this will be a nice little afternoon game that we have to look forward to, seeing Lamar go against Dak and company. All right, San Francisco and the Rams. Now, this is going to be another one where injuries are going to be a big, big concern. All right, here we go. We get Cooper Kupp, we get Puka Nacua. Both out of the field, off the field with injuries. And then next we do get the Rams coming and hosting in a 49ers club that they're desperate right now. All right, they're off a loss. The 49ers right now opening number is 7. That's a big, big number to lay on the road. And I think that's something we're going to see the 49ers really control this game. You're seeing the -7 for San Francisco get gobbled up. This number might actually touch 7.5 or 8 as we approach kickoff. There is some value, though, if you want to get on the Rams money line, but I do think that Kupp does not suit up. I think that we're going to be absent Puka Nacua for a couple more weeks, as we expect. And now Deebo Samuel is going to be injured for the 49ers. So we have that. We have McCaffrey out. You get this offensive line for San Francisco with Jordan Mason. It's really not going to miss a beat. In my opinion. So I think that San Francisco bounces back. I like the 49ers in this one. I'll lay the 7 actually on the road. I just want to see kind of what the rest of the injury report looks like a little later in the week. But San Francisco off a loss. I don't really care how many points it is. I just don't know how Matthew Stafford's going to get this one and keep this one close, especially after we saw kind of what the Rams looked like it going against Arizona, losing 41-10 and then losing 26-20 against Detroit. So give me the 7 with Arizona. I'll lay that one, and that will probably be my favorite pick to put into a teaser this week as well. All right, Kansas City, Atlanta, another primetime spot for KC. I don't know how we did not get Burrowhead flexed on Sunday night. They gave us Houston and Chicago, but anyways, that was one of the best games of the Week 2 Sunday slate. Harrison Butker getting his kind of due praise after we saw all the criticism he got from the media with his views on Christianity and women's rights and all that good stuff. There's no place for that in when it comes to the football field. I think he showed that on Sunday. Whether or not you like the guy or not, his teammates rallied behind him. He drove home a kick. Very much, I think you could see Andy Reid and company and how much confidence they have in him. Despite missing a lot of key kicks last year, got the job done, sealed up that KC money line. And this is a spot, though, where we talk about KC Atlanta. I can see after seeing Atlanta play and come back and show some poise against Philly, how much respect I think the odds makers gave them with their, 10.5 games over, was taking all that action. So in this matchup, I do like KC. Travis Kelce, I think he has like 3 or 4 grabs on the season, maybe 5. But nonetheless, that's something that really baffles me. Rashee Rice is getting all that target share, Xavier Worthy as well. But now they signed Kareem Hunt. We look at Pacheco. He's going to be out for a couple weeks on the IL. And then this is something where we look for Carson Steele, one of my fantasy football darlings. Hopefully he gets a lot of goal line work. I haven't made that decision if I'm going to start him yet. I want to see kind of what Hunt's expected workload is going to be. I don't like Carson Steele out of the backfield. I'm in a PPR league, so probably might stay away from it. But this could be a nice little, if you're in a daily fantasy, Carson Steele might be a nice little trendy play there for the Chiefs, all right? And yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. 46.5, 47.5. Those are the totals out there. It's just really hard to bet against the Chiefs -3. They do, by all accounts, in the last recency, we look at historical numbers. When they lay the number, they do cover it. It wasn't like that early on, but over the last year or two, the Chiefs have been one of the most convertible cover teams out there in the NFL. And I think as they go and play the Atlanta Falcons, it's the same old story. Bijan Robinson, outstanding running back. He's going to put up numbers as long as he's healthy. But I think the big storyline here is, will Kirk Cousins be able to be effective in that pocket, because that pocket will not last long going against that Kansas City front. So for me, it's Chiefs -3. They got the momentum. I think they get Kelsey more involved, and I do look for the Kansas City Chiefs to win. And I do see this being possibly a lower scoring game in my early on kind of indication. But Chiefs with a field goal, that's really hard to turn down. So give me KC -3. It's probably a little chalky, but I'm going to go against the grain here because there are a lot of Falcons backers. This number actually opened 3.5 and has since been bet down since that. So give me the 3 points within Kansas City for this game at -120. And then let's talk about Monday Night Football. We have 2 games left, and this will be a doubleheader we have on Monday Night Football. First one being Jacksonville and Buffalo. This is one where we go stock up on the Bills. Probably going to be one of my best plays of the day. I like the Bills at home, -4.5. You can find -4s out there if you want to pay some juice. But that's going to be one of my best plays of the week that will be taking the Bills at home. They are that team. I think there was a lot of preseason sharp love on the Bills, and I think that continues. Jacksonville is going to look to get Christian Kirk more involved, I think, now. But this is something where Trevor Lawrence really struggling. I know the game got a little wet in the second half, and I liked how the Jags responded. But by all accounts, I have no reason to bet against the Bills here at home in this spot. Handedly, we have a common opponent within Jacksonville and Miami that the Bills face in weeks 2 and 3 for this matchup. So we have a lot of data to go off of, and I just think that the Bills get this done. The only thing I'm worried about is them winning by a field goal. They're not necessarily a good cover team, but when they do end up covering that number, they kind of blow out football teams. They control the line of scrimmage. For me, this is going to be a big one here where we look for some Bills action here. This number opened up at 4.5 and has since been bet all the way up to 5.5. So if you can still find 4.5s, 4s in the market, I would definitely lean towards taking that 4 if it's juiced up. But right now, it seems to be all Buffalo money, despite seeing a lot of public love for the Bills. We do get a little sharper action on the Jags, but I can't get there. I can't get there in this one. I think they're going to shut down. We're going to see ETN shut down for the Jags, and I think that the Bills kind of hold serve as kind of being a little dark horse AFC East champion here. So we'll see what happens, but Miami losing Tua, New England being New England, and the likes of the Jets, you just really don't know what they are quite yet in the season, despite having, on paper, probably the best team. Maybe that's a nice little option if you guys are into playing futures where we take the Bills to win that AFC East crown, okay? But that's where I'm at. That's kind of how I view this game. It's Bills or nothing for me, and that's kind of where I'm going to lend towards that, as well as Josh Allen anytime touchdown. He didn't get one last week, so I definitely think that's a nice zigzag where we get him back in the fold. That held true within taking Jalen Hurts with that same logic. So those would be my 2 best bets for the game. This is definitely a nice little moneyline parlay candidate as well. Just taking the Bills to win the game at home. Just worried they win by 3. We don't cover that 4.5 or 5.5, whatever it settles at. But I do like the Bills in this spot. All right. And then the last game is the second game of Monday Night Football that we'll talk more in depth about as we get closer to the Monday night, where I do my exclusive video where we'll talk about all these primetime games, the Sunday Night Football, and these 2 Monday night showdowns, right? But here we get the Commanders traveling on the road to face the Cincinnati Bengals. And I don't agree with the number right now. We can look at this a little deeper. It's a big one, okay? We did open. This spread was at 6.5 as an opening number. Wish I would have jumped all over that, taking the Bengals -6.5. Burrow seems to be back. The interception he threw wasn't really his fault. But that's something where it did cost them the game as the Chiefs ended up doing a house call. But the Bengals, they should have got a victory in Arrowhead. All right, woulda, coulda, shoulda. But now they're 0-2 in the season. They need to get a win. You have to win these games if you want to make it to the postseason. And this is a game that they have to win against the Commanders. For me, this is a definite teaser leg. Burrow primetime Bengals. That's where we're going to take them in a must-win spot. We'll take that 7.5 down to basically a money line. That's going to be a teaser candidate for me. And a pretty good play for Survivor. And if you ask me if anybody out there is in any Survivor pools, this is a good spot to get Cincinnati. But that's something where they've outplayed the Kansas City Chiefs once again, and they did not close the game out. Albeit, woulda, coulda, shouldas, hindsight's 2020, all that good stuff. But I do think the Bengals get the job done. I think they can win this game by 10. It's just that 7.5 scares me. I wonder if this number actually continues to move towards Washington, if that ends up being about, closing at about 8.5. I think they're going to want some teaser protection because Cincinnati is going to be very heavily involved within that market. So I like Burrow. I like him a lot. I like the Bengals in terms of the futures, as a Super Bowl contender. Something where they always historically start off the season slow. And this is a definite spot where I think the Bengals take care of Jaden Daniels and get this win at home. It just, can they win by 2 scores? That's going to be the question that you have to ask yourself. So give me the Bengals. If we can find 7s, great, fantastic. Otherwise, they will be firmly involved within a teaser play for me. So early money is showing that I'm not wrong. That's where you're seeing some money on the Kansas City side, but there's a lot of sharper people out there taking the Washington Commanders with plus 7.5 versus you see these betting splits, but I don't use betting splits to be the end-all be-all. It's just kind of where the early numbers move. So I do like the Bengals, though, in the spot. It's going to be a chalky game. Everybody's going to take the Bengals, but it's something where I'm going to be more involved with them in a teaser play to win straight up, if you ask me. But I do think the Bengals get it done by 2 scores at home. So that'll wrap up my Week 3 NFL kind of preview. I hope you guys all enjoyed that. If you did, feel free to leave me a comment down below. What games do you like? What's your projections? I want to know all your guys' thoughts. Leave me down below in the comments. Make sure you all subscribe as well down below. Smash that like button. And then 2 matters of business, if you can. Follow us on Discord. It's totally free. It's just a way to communicate with you guys in real time. And that's kind of the same thing with X. Okay, so if you don't use Twitter, X, you probably should be, because that's where where I get my instant sports news and information on the fly. So follow me on those platforms, subscribe, and if you want to become a channel member here at TBM, links down below for that as well. But I appreciate you guys watching this. Good luck with your picks, and we'll see you later on in the week. Cheers.